I see you know how to wield a sword, Father. I wouldn't have expected that from a man of the cloth.
With a stick. I practiced with a stick. A reminder of my youth and days gone by, and it helps keep me in good form.
Do you have any work that needs doing?
My dear lad, I have more worries than I can bear. Another pair of shoulders would ease my burden. I have to deal with a local witch.
A witch?
The herb woman, old Gertrude. That devious hag who will stoop to anything. Like all herbalists, for that matter.
Oh, don't tell me. The cows are giving blood instead of milk, and babies are being born with 2 heads and a tail.
This is no laughing matter. Gertrude isn't evil. She just has peculiar ideas about what's good for people. A little bird told me she incited some Ujet's women to witchery.
A little bird told you, did it?
You know how good people are at seeing the splinter in another's eye and not the beam in their own.
In other words, someone's been gossiping. And what's the problem?
As long as herb women stick to giving psychic to folk and bloated cows, assisting in childbirth, or burning incense in bedrooms to help with sleep, then nothing at all. But this is sacrilege, and it's unsafe. All sorts of molds and lichens and poisonous plants and other foul things go into those concoctions. I'd hate to see her poison some poor gullible lass.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to go and see her and find out what she's been up to. I know she lives in fear of the Holy Church, so tell her I sent you. That will make her talk and think twice about encouraging witchcraft. If you learn that she truly did involve folk in some foolishness, find out all you can and deal with it.
Consider it done.
Good. And never fear. I'm a man who always pays his debts. You'll find Gertrude, the old herb woman, in the woods. Jesus Christ be praised.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubosh don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
For heaven's sake, Father, can you really look me in the eye and tell me that, when you know you may be condemning innocent people to death?
I can, because if I broke that vow, the consequences would be much worse than if I didn't. Maybe not immediately, but one day. The mills of God grind slowly.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Be a bit more careful.
The bastard! Catch him! Somebody help me! Catch him!
I've come from the priest. They're saying you incited some women to witchcraft.
Me? Witchcraft? That's nothing but idle chatter.
Don't you know that witches get burned alive?
There's no need for trouble. I'll tell you everything. I've done a very foolish thing. It's preying on my mind so much I can't sleep a wink.
But I'm supposed to believe an old witch has pangs of conscience.
Laugh if you like, but it's not a word of a lie. You probably know I sell various magic lotions and potions alongside my herbs. Well, there's one I wish I hadn't sold. You see, Vera, Zlata, and Kuta from Uzhitz wanted a magic ointment from me. I kept refusing them, but in the end I let them talk me into it.
What kind of ointment was it?
One that will show you a world no one else can see, a place of wonder and terror. The flowers might start talking to you, or the earth could swallow you up. I don't know if it's the work of the devil or of God himself, but the ointment has that power. But it could poison any person who doesn't know how to use it right.
So all this talk of witches anointing themselves and then flying to their sabbaths on broomsticks...
The ointment could make a person see such things. But it was stupid of me letting those foolish women get their hands on it. They could poison themselves or fall off a cliff while they're lost in a dream.
Will you give me the ointment recipe?
It contains belladonna and the herb Paris, both quite poisonous plants. That ought to make you think twice about dabbling with it.
What kind of ointment was it?
One that will show you a world no one else can see, a place of wonder. I don't know.
So all this talk of...
The ointment...
I want to know some... So why did you give them the ointment at all?
Because I'm soft-hearted. You see, one of those women, Vera, lost her whole family in Skalitz. And Zlata's husband was killed. And the youngest of them, Kuta, miscarried with the horror of it all. They said they wanted to use the ointment to speak with the dead and ask them to put a word in with the Lord.
Yeah. I understand how they feel. But I reckon it'll get them nowhere but the ducking stool and the stake.
Judge not, lest ye be judged. I didn't want to give them the ointment, but they offered me a pile of groschen. So I thought how desperate they must be, and I heard their plea.
Their plea, or the clink of their coin? And why are you so worried about them all of a sudden? What changed your mind?
I'm losing sleep over it. Firstly, those women don't know what they're doing. And secondly, folk might see it as witchcraft. And do you know what they do to witches?
They burn them alive.
That they do. So don't be surprised I'm worried.
It didn't bother you before, though. What did they want the ointment for?
Each one of them lost a loved one recently, and it's grieving them. They wanted to talk with the dead.
I've heard enough.
If you've heard enough, you must understand why I need your help. Find out from those women what they intend, and watch over them to keep them safe.
Very well. But only because the priest himself asked me to.
Thank you 1,000-fold. I'll go to the Reverend myself and explain. You take care of those women.
Good health to you.
Is there someone here who can...
Of course. First, I'll explain the... You shoot 7, 13, or 21 arrows, depending on who... The straw surround is worth 1 point. The white ring, 2. The round ends when every... It's the custom to wager on it. To make it...
All right.
Just one more thing. Don't leave while the contest is underway.
Got it.
How good are you with a bow? So I can...
I'm a beginner.
Doesn't matter. At least you'll get a bit of practice. Beginners shoot 7 arrows around. Splendid! Here's some arrows for you. But you can use your own if you want. Meanwhile, I'll round up the competition.
Put that weapon away, or I'll call it guard. Shit. You can't...
Is there someone here who can compete with me in archery?
I'm sure someone can be found. How good are you with a bow?
I'm a beginner.
Doesn't matter. Splendid! Meanwhile, I'll... Right, archers. Let's begin. Contest over, archers.
Put that weapon away, or I'll call it.
What the hell?
Is there someone...
Sure. How good are you?
I'm a beginner.
Doesn't matter. Splendid! Meanwhile, I'll... Right, archers. Let's begin.
Is there someone here who...
I'm sure someone. How good are you?
And that cow of his trampled
I'm a
our
beginner.
campers 3 times already.
Doesn't matter.
about putting up a
At least you'll get a bit of
Ask
practice.
him that.
Beginners
There
shoot
was a cathedral
splendid.
he was
Meanwhile,
always adding.
Right, archers. Let's begin. I told you, you're not allowed to leave. You're disqualified.
So my wife's brother finally paid back the dozen groschen he owed me.
What? You mean the money you lent him last winter? He took his time.
Is there someone...
He did.
Sure.
I didn't want to upset
How
the old
good are-
woman by chasing him for it.
It's better never to lend money to kids.
I'm a beginner.
It's always a new.
Doesn't.
That's just
Meanwhile-
what I said to him.
Right, archers.
Well,
Let's
like a
begin.
man. It was the wife that flew into a rage. Called me a tight-arsed old stinking billy goat. I'd never hear the end of it if I didn't lend him the coin.
I'd like to have seen that. Well, at least he paid it back in the end.
He did, but I said he might throw in a groschen or 2 more for all the time I had to wait, and he near bit my head off.
You can't choose your kin, eh?
Isn't that God's truth? Put that weapon away, or I'll call
Put
it
that
down.
weapon away before someone gets hurt.
I told you, you're not allowed to leave. What the hell are you doing?
Jesus.
Ah!
Here! Help!
They're flashing each other over there! Stop them! Hey!
What the hell? God be with you.
How's the head?
So even strangers know my shame. Come on, then. Come and take a closer look at Vashek the Blockhead.
Well, it was pretty funny, but I didn't come to taunt.
So what is it you want?
I promised the head groom that I'd look for pie.
Well, good luck with that. I've been searching half the day, although I have been seeing double ever since that bang on the head, so it's possible I missed something.
Where did you fall off, Pie?
Just south of here, between the fields and the woods, there's a crossroads where four paths meet. It was around there.
4 paths? So we could have gone anywhere.
Now you see my problem.
When was that?
In the morning. Then I staggered about for a while, feeling as rough as a boar's ass. I was glad to stagger back here in the end.
Can you describe Pie for me?
Long face, 4 legs.
Well, that should narrow it down. Does he have any distinguishing features? Like a colour, for instance?
Sorry, he's a dappled grey, a stallion, and he's really fast. Though that won't help you much.
Quite the opposite. Can you describe Pi for me?
Long face.
You did hit your head hard, didn't you?
Yes? Why?
I asked you to describe Pi, not every horse in the world.
Sorry, he's a dappled grey.
Quite the opposite. Fine, I'll go and look for him.
Thanks. If you find him,
Well?
Pi's used to taking the bridle ways, so I'd keep to those.
That's useful. I heard you have a way with the horse that unsaddles everyone else.
Yes. I suppose I do.
And how do you do it? How do you calm him down?
I'm good to him.
Well, I want to treat the horse well too, but I don't know how, because I don't know him as well as you do. Will you help me?
I sing to him.
You sing to him? What?
2 horses come roaming in the merry month of May, to graze in the shade of the apple tree there. The first one is brown, and the second is grey. Which shall I ride to my maiden so fair?
That's, interesting.
I know how it looks, but he likes it.
Thank you, Vashek. So, boy, want me to sing? You're definitely the first horse I've ever serenaded. 2 horses come roaming in the merry month of May, to graze in the shade of the apple tree there. The first one is brown.
Thank you, Henry.
Hey!
The Lord save you. What do you need?
My apologies, but could you tell me one more time what you need from me?
I need you to pick up an ornamental crown from Sasau for Sophie, wine from a merchant in Ratai, and a roan from the stable in Ujits.
You said a roan from Ujits.
Precisely. It's a beautiful animal. Wait till you see it. Dietrich said he'd... But you...
Wine?
Thank you, I just... The Lord save you. What do you need?
I've brought the roan, my lady.
That's wonderful. There weren't any problems with it, I hope.
Nothing too serious. He's a little wild, but I was able to handle him in the end.
Well, that won't do. Sophie can't have some wild horse at her wedding starting a stampede.
But I've learnt a trick. If you sing to him, he calms down.
You sang to a horse?
It's quite true, I'm afraid. I sang to a horse.
Well, then you'll have to sing something to me, too.
My lady, I don't know if I...
So I know how to calm down that roan. Go ahead, sing.
Two horses come roaming in the merry month of May to graze in the shade of the apple tree there. The first one is brown and the second is grey. Which shall I ride to, my maiden so fair?
Oh, how beautiful! I'm not surprised the horse calmed down after hearing such a lovely voice. Anyway, I'll think about what to do with the roan. But thank you, Henry.
you doing? Huh?
Can we do something about the price?
Naturally.
This, and a little something on top, for good measure.
Well now, thank you very much.
Are you...
Jesus Christ be praised.
Can we trade?
If you've got the coin.
Can we do something about the price?
Well, we can try it.
Can we trade?
If you've got the coin.
Let's talk about the price.
Why not?
Here, with a little something on top for a good measure.
My word. Thank you kindly.
God in heaven, no! Leave me alone, please! You call that combat?
Ow!
Oh. Is that all you've got? bother you? Duh! I'm going to enjoy this. You're dead. You'll get what for. Is that all you've got? Enough! I yield! No! I surrender.
You're just lucky.
What's the matter? Come on!
Stop right where you are. You there. Stop. Surrender. You've committed a violation. You're under arrest.
All right, you win.
I've heard reports about you picking fights with people, and we don't like that around here, my boy. This definitely won't come cheap. You'll learn crime doesn't pay.
Are you pulling my pizzle? Don't you know who I am? You better watch your step, or I'll make things so hot for you, you'll be lucky to get a job slopping out piss pots.
What's your game, boy? I'm not going to swallow that one.
That's too much. I don't have that much coin.
You still have to pay the penalty. Looks like you'll have to sit it out in jail.
All right, here you are.
You've purged yourself before the law, but I'll be keeping an eye on you. You can be sure of that.
Are you serious?
What's the hold-up? Hey, Ale here.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
Coming.
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
God bless them.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
You think I'm too young for the job, Father?
I do, to tell the truth.
Well, I can only apologise for my lack of grey hair and gout.
Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noyle? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
One beer.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits. But they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword. I wouldn't expect that of a man of the cloth.
You know what they say. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
But this is a bit more mysterious than others.
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to places where affairs were settled by force. These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to keep me in shape.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
You're just making excuses. The people who say the church is corrupt are right. You don't care about anyone, only your own comfort.
I'm sorry you see it that way. Really sorry. You've no idea how wrong you are.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church, the lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up, and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
I'll have a beer.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padł dziesięć smutek, dodnielo i rano utek, niech ich może zimaj sad, do wczera żył Mesaje prak, už se jí bojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě jich učit, nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si umí jako poslední den. Budeme se bavit, ano ráda slávit a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako kozy, zítra je tu soudnej den, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět.
Enough of this!
Bailiff, come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh, come on. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
Had enough?
Come on then, bailiff. You want to fight? Come and get it. Don't worry. Don't get any trouble. Have a bit of a Thou shalt not hurt thy neighbor. Back. Get your penance now.
Come on then, whoreson.